the opportunity to lend is missed because the requirement of credit is in the next 3 days. It will flow to the unorganized market, and that's the risk that we can't afford to take today. Hi, this is Rahul. I'm one of the co-founders here at AllCloud. AllCloud is a lending technology company, and what we bring is one unified lending technology that enables lenders across the length and breadth of the country today to provide some of the most innovative loan products. We're talking something very close to my heart, and that's MSME lending. MSMEs are the lifeline of Indian businesses, are contributing about 30% to the GDP, and about 90% of the firms across the countries are MSMEs. These MSMEs are most resilient, entrepreneurial in nature, and being an entrepreneur myself, I think their challenges are something that I can really resonate to. Starting up is not easy. Building is even more difficult. And what these MSMEs do is they've put together the business and they're now waiting for it to scale. That's where MSME lending has picked up in the market, because all the lenders understand that these are some of the most entrepreneurial and great customers to work with. Definitely the focus has shifted to MSMEs and identification of MSMEs as a great customer segment. The growth has come partly because now they're more visible to banks and financial institutions. After demonetization, most of their collections have become digital. And once it's become more formal, it's now easier, or I would say a little easier, for banks and financial institutions to establish how their business patterns are and what their incomes and expenditures are. This has definitely created a lot of interest in the lenders' minds to fund in MSMEs. Initially, it was very difficult for lenders to assess our MSME customer. There used to be a huge demand-supply gap, asymmetric data, credit invisible profiles, and lack of products that could cater to MSMEs created a huge supply gap. Now with technology coming into the foray and the visibility of MSMEs as a customer profile, their transactions being available, it's become easier for lenders to assess them. What we bring to the table as well is very similar. When we are trying to establish how a credit assessment can be done of an MSME, because onboarding is simple. The trickier part is to understand what the needs of the MSMEs are, whether they have the ability, the capability, and the intent to pay back. That was not very easy when banks and financial institutions used to look at financial statements, bank documents, and ask for collaterals. Right? You need to understand that MSMEs are smaller segments, smaller businesses. It could be any kirana shop, it could be a dry cleaner, it could be a street side vendor doing business of crores in a year, but still invisible to the whole banking transaction market. There used to be more cash incentive. But with UPI now, you look at 70% of their transactions have moved digital. So we can look at their inflows as a income side and understand what the expenditures they are. That could be put up into a model, and that's the game-changing use case where it's not just a risk-based profiling, but also cash flow-based lending. There's 6.3 crore in MSME businesses in India, right? As I said earlier, 90% of the businesses across the world are MSMEs. If a lender misses out in this market, I think it's an opportunity that they are missing on purpose. If they don't have a product for MSMEs today, they're losing out a large chunk of business. Larger banks, larger financial institutions definitely cannot penetrate to exactly the spot where the MSMEs are present. But institutions who are agile, who've got the technology with them, and who've got the mindset to understand how MSMEs work, are reaching out to tier 4 towns as well, working with the MSMEs. It's like a business loan, but you're actually giving a microfinance or a group loan. So you can work in that way where you're very, very much on the ground. You're talking to the customer every day, working with them, and then lending it out. So it's a more phygital approach that a lender would take. And if they're missing out on this opportunity, definitely they're missing out on purpose. As a technology provider to lenders, and that to essentially in the SaaS space, products, their growth story, and building solutions around their use cases, what we've seen is that MSMEs require a very different approach. We've looked at micro MSMEs as a segment where it's more like a livelihood loan. The borrowers require a very specific approach to how money is lent to them and how it is collected. So we've talked more about how the money is being lent, but let's also talk about how the loans are to be serviced. These borrowers, their earning pattern is weekly, or in some cases daily. So you need to collect daily. You need to have the ability to collect weekly. And if the borrower is not in the same geography as you are, you need to provide digital channels of collection with UPI, recurring mandates, QR code, scan to pay. all of this is made possible. I think India Stack is one of the fantastic achievements of our age. And if our lenders are able to utilize all the different aspects of this India Stack, including authentication, verification, collection, it's going to be a very different edge that they can bring. And as providers, we worked across all these different use cases, including verification of customer, authentication of data, digital collections and disbursements. In fact, one of our customers is a digital-only NBFC that is provided by the RBI as a new segment in the NBFC registration. You need to understand the business. If you understand the business and you create a niche in a segment of MSMEs, I think that's the best way to do it. As I said, a lot of data points are collected that are physically when you're speaking to the customer, and there are some data points that are already documented, probably your transactions, UPI data, GSTN data, credit history of the customer pulled from a bureau. But only looking at this structured data in isolation will not help, because in case of MSMEs, you also need to look at the asymmetric data, the data that is not documented but needs to be created by interacting with the customer. So that's something very important, getting these two data points together and analyzing them, creating models to categorize your customers. Again, the intent to pay back, the capability to pay back, and the capacity to pay back is most important in this segment. There's going to be definite growth in the MSME lending sector, because these MSMEs are now going to become the rocket fuel for the economy. And we're looking at a $5 trillion economy with the vision of the government as well. The government has also taken MSMEs very seriously, and that's why the CGT MSA scheme has come out. Mudra loans have come out. If you look at that, we can't miss out on this opportunity, one. And in terms of growth of MSMEs, there is going to be significant growth. So the lenders will have to match their pace to creating solutions for them, to be able to come out with products that will address their credit needs of today. What happens with MSMEs is that they need money, say, in a couple of days, but a bank or a lender, if they take, say, about 20-25 days to put together documents, do the assessment, ask for collaterals. If they don't have collateral, then ask for something else. And then it stretches out to about 3 weeks. The opportunity to lend is missed, because the requirement of credit is in the next 3 days. It will flow to the unorganized market, and that's the risk that we can't afford to take today. MSMEs have to be brought to the organized credit fold. Their products, the kind of loans that we're offering have to be instant but apt. You can't just give out loans without doing a credit assessment. But how we make that more efficient is going to be the game changer. Thank you for hearing in. We'll be coming out with more episodes on our perspective on how MSMEs, and we'll be also putting out growth stories with some of our customers very soon. So please stay tuned in. Look forward to speaking to you again.